أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر والله أكبر لا إله إلا الله إن الحمد لله نحمده نستعينه ونستغفره ونسترشده نعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد يحيي ويميت بيده الخير وهو على كل شيء قدير يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا وبعد أيها الإخوة والأخوات My dear brothers and sisters, last Jum'ah I highlight the role, the magnificent role of Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala anhum defending Islam and uniting Ummah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, uniting the Jama'ah and their effort and what they spent for that, and that's the sacrifice they did to stop the people who tried to disunite the Ummah at the time of Sahaba themselves radiallahu ta'ala anhum. And I mentioned a lot of ayat from Allah purifying the Sahaba radiallahu anhum wa radu anhum. And the ahadith from the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam telling us the level and the respect that the believer should give to the Sahaba. And I mentioned the ulama what they said about whoever criticizes Sahabi or criticizes Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala anhum, you have to have doubt about his iman and doubt about his Islam. And I said finally, those people who criticize Sahaba, those books written, those speeches given, and everything that try to give us a doubt about those who carry the Sunnah, those who understood Islam, those who lived with the Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and understood Islam and they applied Islam. I said that they try to create a generation that have no relationship, that has no past. It's like an infant childhood or an infant, intellect. When an infant is grown up, so he has no intellect. He collects his intellect from his experience. He has no past. His past is what he will get in the future. His experience, his present and the future. But this ummah is not in age of infant. This ummah is in age of an adult where we have the past. We have the history of the Sahaba. We have the fahm, the understanding of Sahaba. We have the Quran, we have the Sunnah. We have 1400 centuries of experience. We have the history of humankind, of human being in the Quran. We have the story of Lut and Nuh and Ibrahim and Yusuf. We know what happened to Bani Israel. We know what happened to the follower of Musa and Isa and Lut and Ismail. And we know all of that. We have a huge history. And this is why we depend, this is why we need the Salaf Salih. We need our ancestors. We need to have that bridge to Salaf Salih, to Sahaba radiallahu anhum. We cannot just start from scratch, from day one, and have your own experience, and understand your own way of the Quran and the Sunnah, and try to bring a new religion, a new Sharia, a new understanding. That's why it's very important. So we can continue, we can be connected to the Salaf, to the Ummah of the Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam. It's very important. So whoever is criticizing the Ummah, and he's criticizing a Salaf radiallahu anhum, he wants to cut off that bridge, that road between the new generation and as-Salaf as-Salih radiallahu anhu. Whoever criticizes, and the Sahaba understood that. They understood that this is part of their jihad. It's part of their delivering the da'wah. They understood this is the methodology, this is the way of the Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam. This is what they understood from Rasulullah. When you have a people who try to make a fitna and create a fitna and create rumors and try to disunite the ummah and the jama'ah and the community, you have to stand and you have to protect and you have to defend and you have to continue doing this. It's part of the da'wah. It's a part of teaching. It's not just teaching Qul huwa Allahu ahad and you leave the people alone. Shaitan will not let them understand Qul huwa Allahu ahad. You have to stand like a Sahaba stood. You have to sacrifice your time, your energy, your wealth to protect this deen and protect people who carry this deen. Like the same thing what the Sahaba did radiallahu ta'ala anhum. And they consider that as the path. This is Sabilul Mu'mineen. As the path of Allah, the path of all Anbiya, the path of Al-Hawariyin, the people who supported Al-Anbiya. And this is why we saw those names among Sahaba. The most attacked Sahaba or the most criticized Sahaba are those names Al-Khulafa Al-Arba', of course, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam on top. Al-Khulafa Al-Arba', of course, Khulafa Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali, طلحة بن عبيد الله, الزبير بن العوام, عائشة رضي الله عنها, عمر بن العاص and his son Abdullah بن عمر بن العاص, سعد بن أبي الوقاص, معاوية بن أبي سفيان, Abdullah بن عمر, الحسن بن علي, الحسين, Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, Al-Mughira بن شعبة, Sahl ibn Hunayf and their brothers, and after them comes Al-Khulafa like Al-Mansur, Harun al-Rashid, Nur al-Din al-Zinki, Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, Abdul Malik ibn Marwan, Salah al-Din al-Ayyubi, Sultan Muhammad al-Fatih, Sultan Abdul Hamid al-Thani. If you read the history of those people, you will see them. There are many books written to criticize those leaders and to make a doubt about those leaders, about their intention, about what they did, fabricating stories about them, writing your books about their history. If you read the history or the stories or the history that Orientalists wrote, and the people who have no relation to Allah, they don't fear Allah, the way they criticize them, you feel that those names are the worst evil names in the history of Islam. In fact, they are the most noble and sincere and honest human being and leaders in the Ummah of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Because they understood the dangers coming. They understood the people of al-fitna. They knew how to stop the people of al-fitna. They have no way to do. Either they will be killed or they will end that fitna. And that's exactly what they did. Either you live in Islam and you have happiness or living Islam, with Islam, for Islam, or you die as a martyr for the deen. And this is exactly what happened to the Sahaba, to those leaders I'm talking about, those who are the most knowledgeable people, who understood how to stop and close those doors of fitna in the society, in the community, in Ummah al-Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Of course, they get the most big or defamatory or fabrication, or they make up a lot of stories about them, a lot of rumors, a lot of doubt, to tell us that those Sahaba, they deviate from the path of Allah. If Abu Bakr deviate, and Umar, and Uthman, and Ali, what is left for us? If we listen to those people who wrote in the history, and they criticize Aisha radiallahu anha, al-Mu'mineen, the mother of the believer, the wife of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah married her to Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam. If we have doubt about Ummahat al-Mu'mineen, and the Khulafa al-Rashideen, and the Sahaba radiallahu anhum ajma'in, tell me what is left? What is our guidance? And that's exactly what they want to do. And in fact, most of those leaders, read their history. Read the books, what you will find out. You will find out most of them have been murdered or assassinated. Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu ta'ala, he was assassinated while he was leading Salat al-Fajr by someone named Abu Lu'lu'a al-Majusi al-Farisi, who converted Islam. And he killed Sayyidina Umar al-Mihrab while he was leading Salat al-Fajr. Uthman radiallahu anha, the husband of the two daughters of Nabi alayhi salam, and all those people, names I'm mentioning, they are al-Mubashsharuna bil-Jannah. And Nabi gave them glad tidings. They are among the people of al-Jannah. They are among people of Badr, of Uhud, Bay'at al-Ridwan. Allah said, radiyallahu anhum wa radu an. Allah is pleased with them, and they are pleased with Him. But what was the end? Assassination. Ghadr, betrayal. Sayyidina Uthman was killed in his house, in his bayt, reciting Kitabullah. Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu, who killed Sayyidina Uthman? Abdullah ibn Saba, he was Jewish and he converted to Islam. Sayyidina Ali radiallahu, he was killed in the Salat. Who killed him? Abdul Rahman ibn Muljim, he was Rafidi, Khariji, he was a student of Abdullah ibn Saba, the Jewish. Muawiyah, they tried to kill him many times in the Salat. And a lot of assassins, Amr ibn al-As, they tried to kill him. Talha was Zubayr, the two. Nabi alayhi, he called them Hawariyin. They were Hawariyin Nabi alayhi. They were both assassinated and killed in the Salat, in the Masjid. Al-Qatala are the same Qatala. Those who create the fitna are those who commit and made a plan to kill those A'imma and those Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala an. The same thing for Hussein. The same thing for Hassan, who was they tried to assassinate him. The same thing for Aisha radiallahu anha. She moved from Al-Madinah to Al-Basra to try to unite the Sahaba and the Muslimin and the believer and tell them, hey, with this what the Ummah is facing. So when they know that she is moving to calm down and unite the Ummah, they try to kill them. Umar ibn Abdul Aziz radiallahu anhu, they said, if someone needs to be joined to the Salaf al-Salih, to a Sahaba, even though he's not Sahabi, it's Umar ibn Abdul Aziz. He has only 2 years of Khilafah. But what he did in 2 years, it's miracles. Radiallahu anhu, he was killed by a poison. Descending all Muslihin in Ummah al-Nabi, all Muslims, Umar al-Mukhtar, Ibn Badis al-Algeri, Hassan al-Banna in Egypt, al-Farghali, Sayyid Qutb, all Muslihin, they were all assassinated. And that's the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the way of Allah. As long as you are Muslim and you are a believer and you know the truth, you have to defend the truth. And you have to stand and protecting the deen of Allah and protecting the jama'ah and the unity and the community. This is part of your job as mu'min who said, La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. It may be few individuals will be wrong, that's true. Few scholars deviate, that's true. Or a group of non-Muslims, they will deviate, that's true. But the whole entire ummah will never ever deviate from the path of Allah. Never. So if an ummah, all ummah consider Sahaba as the top guidance for Muslim, they will never be able, or the ummah will never get together to say something wrong or something haram. And that's the scholar, they said that this is the only guarantee for the ummah to continue. The only guarantee from Allah for the ummah to continue is we have to protect the deen of Allah. And we have to follow al-jama'ah or jama'at al-muslimin. This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created that al-isma, which is called al-isma, infallible. Ummah cannot be all infallible. لن تخلو الأرض من قائم لله بالحجة. لن تخلو الأرض من أئمة يهدون بالحق وبه يعدلون. لن تخلو الأرض من طائفة قائمة على أمر الله إلى قيام الساعة. The land, the earth, the believers, the mu'min will never, there will always be someone who defends this deen. someone who protects this deen, someone who teaches for this deen, someone who will continue the legacy of the Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala anhum and the Ummah. And this is what the Nabi gives us as guarantee. إِنَّ اللَّهَ تَعَالَى لَنْ يُهْلِكَ هَذِهِ الْأُمَّةِ بما أهلك به الأمم من قبلها ولن يسلط عليها عدوا من غيرها يستأصل شأفتها. Allah will never allow someone to come and to destroy Ummah al-Nabi or to exterminate Ummah al-Nabi as long as we have a people, like Allah said in the Quran, وَمِمَّنْ خَلَقْنَا أُمَّةٌ يَهْدُونَ بِالْحَقِّ وَبِهِ يَعْدِلُونَ. And among those we create community which guides by the truth and thereby establish justice. As long as we have those individuals and we have those group in Ummah al-Nabi, the Ummah will be protected and the Ummah will continue. لا تزال طائفة من هذه الأمة قائمين على الحق لا يضرهم من خالفهم حتى يأتي أمر الله وهم على ذلك. Nabi Asam said it will continue being an ummah, a group, individual, and the community is calling for Allah, calling to Allah, inviting to Allah, protecting the deen of Allah until the day of judgment will come. When those individuals disappear, the Qiyamah will occur. As long as you do your job, there is no Qiyamah. As long as we continue doing the da'wah and those people exist, we still have guarantee and we still have a mercy and the rahmah. When the people of A'immah and the du'at and the believers stop their job, and then there is no alim, no scholar, there is no knowledge, and the ignorant people will lead, that's the sign of the day of judgment. That's the sign of the day of judgment, my dear brothers and my sisters. And this is why Sabilul Mu'mineen, the path of the believer, is part of our aqidah, to follow the path of the believer. And there is no path of the believer without Sahaba radiallahu anhum. Allah said in the Quran, وَمَنْ يُشَاقِقَ الرَّسُولَ مِنْ بَعْدِ مَا تَبَيَّنَ لَهُ الْحَقِّ من بعد ما تبين له الهدى ويتبع غير سبيل المؤمنين نوله ما تولى وَنُصْلِهِ جَهَنَّمَ وَسَاءَتْ مَصِيرًا. And whoever opposed the messenger after guidance has become clear to him and follow other than the way of the believers, and all the scholars agree upon the way of the believer is the way of those believers Allah talk about highly, and Allah praise them in Surah At-Tawbah and Al-Fath and Al-Hashr and Al-Anfal. It's about the Sahaba radiallahu anhu. This is the path of the believer which we have to follow. Now, if the path of the believer is criticized for me, and I don't trust that the Sahaba, and I have a lot of things against Muawiyah and Ali and Uthman and Umar and Fulan and Fulan, tell me what is left for us. This is the path of the believer that Allah left with us as a security. And Nabi Asmi said, أوصيكم بتقوى الله. There is hadith al-Irbad ibn Sariyah. He said, Rasulullah, before he died, Rasulullah, he said, أوصيكم بتقوى الله. I ask you to fear Allah. والسمع والطاعة, and to obey and hear and obey. ومن يعش منكم, and whoever live longer, فسيرى اختلافا كثيرا, he will see a lot of confusion. They said, Ya Rasulullah, what we have to do? He said, عليكم بسنتي, follow my path and the path of al-Khulafa al-Rashidin, among them Umar, Abu Bakr, and Umar, and Uthman, and Ali, al-Mahdiyin. They are the guided. من بعد after me, تمسكوا بها. Hold on and hold, stay and hold on their path. وعضوا عليها بالنواجذ, and do not abandon. Don't deviate from that. وَإِيَّاكُمْ, and be careful to create issues in the deen or to create innovation in the deen. My dear brother and sister, what happened to Sayyidina Uthman? And I mentioned the story of Sayyidina Uthman, and who was Sayyidina Uthman, and what the Nabi said about Sayyidina Uthman, and the ayah that was revealed about Sayyidina Uthman, and what the way people kill him, and the way the fitna raised, and those people who criticized Sayyidina Uthman. What happened to Sayyidina Uthman happened before to Umar, and happened before him to Ali, and happened before him to Abi Bakr and the Nabi, and exactly it happened to Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu. No one is free as long as you call people to Allah and you teach the deen of Allah. You will not be free of criticism, of defamation of, this is the path of al-Anbiya, the path of Sahaba radiallahu anhu. Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu, at his time he was Khalifa of the believers. And suddenly he was astonished because the people who tried to advise al-Khalifa, they tried to advise him with the name of Allah, in the name of Allah, with ayat, with saying ayat to Sayyidina Ali. He was one of the writer, Katabatul Wahy, to the Prophet himself, and someone comes after the time of Nabi to go to Sayyidina Ali, teach him about the Quran. Tell him Allah said so and so. He was amazed. Ali radiallahu anhu, Babul Hikmah. He's the door of knowledge. He's the wisdom. He's from Al-Bayt al-Nabi. He was raised in Bayt al-Nabuwah. He's from Bayt al-Nabuwah. What do you need more than that? And someone will go to him and advise him for the sake of Allah and tell him, Ya Imam, Ya Ali, in al-hukmu illa lillah. The decision is only for Allah. Sayyidina Ali has an issue between him and Muawiyah, and both are Sahaba, and both are radiyallahu anhum wa radu anhu. Allah is pleased with them and they are pleased with him. So there is an issue, a dispute between the Muslims. So as-Salihin from al-Kufa, a lot of scholars and Salihin went to Muawiyah and they went to Ali and they said, hey, we need to make arbitration here and we need all to go back to Kitabillah. When Muawiyah heard about that, that call, he said, Sami'na wa ata'na. And I hear and I obey. Let's put Kitab Allah in between us. And when Sayyidina Ali heard about that speech, and it came from one of the Salihin in Al-Basra, or Al-Kufa, Al-Ash'af ibn Qais Al-Kufi, rahmatullahi ta'ala, one of the well-known scholars, he made a khutbah, and that khutbah reached Muawiyah. He said, he's right, wa Rabbil Kaaba. He's right. And he sent Amr ibn al-As to Ali, and to try, let's do tahkim, arbitration, and let's use Kitab Allah ta'ala to solve our problems. And Sayyidina Ali answered that call. And among the group of Sayyidina Ali, there is a group where they used to call them al-Qurra. They have a lot of ibadah, a lot of Quran, until they become extremists because of al-ghulu. They try to do more than what Allah ordered them to do. They went to Sayyidina Ali and they told them, why you are making arbitration? It's haram. Because Allah said in the Quran, إِنِ الْحُكْمُ إِلَّا لِلَّهِ. The decision is only for Allah. And he said, yeah, that's an ayah from the Quran, that's true. This is kalimatu haqq. What Allah is saying, that the decision at the end goes back to Allah. No one can make in Allah's stead the decision. Everything belongs to Allah. Allah is the dominion of everything. He created everything. And the decision in the Sharia and the Kawn, it belongs to Allah. But what this ayah has to do with what we are doing here? What this ayah has to do with arbitration? There is no decision, there is no arbitration among human beings. The only arbitration is Allah will decide. And the way Allah will decide, let's go and fight each other until we exterminate each other. That is the decision of God. This is how they understood Islam. And they went to Sayyidina Ali and they give him an ayah in front of people. Like that gentleman who came from the Hajj and he was questioning Abdullah ibn Umar about the Uthman ibn Affan, which I mentioned 2 Jumu'at. The same story. In al-hukmu illa lillah, you are wrong. And Sayyidina Ali was marveling. You go to Sayyidina Ali and you teach him the Quran. You teach him what Allah sent to Muhammad and he's among the people who wrote it. He lived with the Nabi and he knows the Islam. He's the most knowledgeable about Islam. And then Sayyidina Ali radiallahu tried to give him some example from the Quran. And he gave ayah, وَإِنْ خِفْتُمْ شِقَاقَ بَيْنِهِمَا فَابْعَثُوا حَكَمًا مِنْ أَهْلِهِ وَحَكَمًا مِنْ أَهْلِهَا إِنْ يُرِيدَ إِصْلَاحًا يُوَفِّقِ اللَّهُ بَيْنَهُمَا. He told him, if you have dispute with your wife, Allah said in the Quran, bring an arbitrator from your family, an arbitrator from her family, and if you both need islah, you need khayr, Allah will make things go, and Allah will make things easy. Here's arbitration in the Quran. And still they insist that he is wrong and he should not do this because al-hukm is only for Allah. Then Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu said a beautiful word. It becomes a proverb. It's a proverb in Islam. He said, كَلِمَةُ حَقٍّ أُرِيدَ بِهَا بَاطِلٍ. It's true, the word is from Allah. This is ayah from Allah, but he means evil by using the ayah. And a lot of people does this. He tried to make something against you, then he said at the end, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. or he'll write Ayat al-Kursi, or he will go to Bukhari and Muslim and he quote hadith from Bukhari and Muslim. So when you read those accusations and you read hadith, oh, he's mentioning hadith. He's saying, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ. The most important is not to bring the ayah or the proof from the Quran or the Sunnah. لَيْسَ الْمُهِمْ هُوَ الْإِسْتِدْلَالُ بِالنَّصِ. The most important is not to bring a proof from the Quran, or to bring a proof from the Sunnah, or to bring a proof from the Bukhari or Muslim. The most important, the way you use the proof, the way you are using the ayah, the way you are using the hadith, and to do not play with the word of Allah, and to do not play with the hadith of Rasulullah to support your hawa and your desire and your opinion or your agenda. So we try to bring hadith al-Nabi, and they will bring hadith al-Nabi, and we are fighting each other, but I'm not looking for the truth, and you are not looking for the truth, but we are both using the word of Allah, and that's what is haram. The people before Ahl Kitab, before Islam, used to fabricate the whole textual proof, the whole text, and they said هذا من عند الله يقولون على الله ما لا يكتبون بأيديهم الكتاب ثم يقولون هذا من. They write down the ayat from themselves and they will say this is from God. This is what the people used to do before Islam. When Allah revealed this Islam or this deen to Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, He do not allow anyone to fabricate in us. You cannot deviate, you cannot change the Quran, you cannot change a word from the Quran. So what the people are doing, in fact, because they cannot change the Quran, what they change, the meaning of the Quran. The way they use the Quran, the ayat, the way they use the Quran, the ayat they talk about the ayat, it's the wrong place, the wrong time, the wrong recipient, the wrong audience, the wrong, just to show that he is using the Quran. And when you read Surah Al-A'raf, Allah said in Surah Al-A'raf, He said, this is what He said, قُلْ إِنَّمَا حَرَّمَ رَبِّيَ الْفَوَاحِشَ مَا ظَهَرَ مِنْهَا وَمَا بَطَنَ وَالْإِثْمَ وَالْبَغْيَ بِغَيْرِ الْحَقِّ وَأَن تُشْرِكُوا بِاللَّهِ مَا لَمْ يُنَزِّلْ بِهِ سُلْطَانًا. And finally, وَأَن تَقُولُوا عَلَى اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. 5 major sins that Allah considered them usul al-muharramat. Those are the basic, those are the foundation, those are the great sins of al-muharramat. Tell them, O Muhammad, my Lord has only forbidden immoralities, what is apparent of them and what is concealed, and sin, and oppression without right, and that you associate with Allah that for which He has not sent down authority. After shirk, He said, and that you say about Allah that which you have no knowledge or which you do not know. So when the people use the ayah in the wrong place and use hadith of Nabi in the wrong place just to support their agenda or their opinion, is using the word of Allah or is telling something instead of Allah which Allah did not say about it. And then the Quran considered that min amal al-shaytan. It's the shaitan who is doing this. He said, إِنَّمَا يَأْمُرُكُمْ بِالسُّوءِ وَالْفَحْشَاءِ وَأَن تَقُولُوا عَلَى اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. And shaitan only orders you to evil and immorality and to say about Allah what you do not know. So using the Quran in the wrong place and using the hadith in the wrong place without knowledge, without cause of revelation. You just know the ayah and you are using it the ayah. Because other people, they don't understand قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. But they know that it's Quran. They don't understand the meaning of the hadith, but they know it's from Al-Bukhari and Muslim. So it's mostly kind of deviation and misleading people by using the word of Allah. And this is the top of Al-Haram. You have the top of Haram saying things about Allah which you don't know, and then comes after that Ash-Shirku Billah. And I gave you 2 ayat in this matter. We need to know when we use the Quran, for what we use the Quran. Is this ayah is used for this audience, for this meaning, or you want just to give another meaning to the ayah? And this is why we see a lot of people today using the Quran for many things. And they try to make or to get the truth in their side by using Kitab Allah. And the Kitab becomes like a ball. And people are fighting each other by using the ayat and using the ahadith. So someone has issue with the ahzab, with the party, political party, and he does not agree with democracy or whatever, he will tell you, كل حزب بما لديهم فرحون. That's an ayah, that's true. كلمة حق, that's true. From Allah, in the Quran, every faction rejoicing in what it has. Every part are happy of what. And he used the word hizb, because hizb, he thinks that it's political party. But the ayah is not talking about political party. The ayah is talking about something else. The ayah is talking about mu'askar al-shar, about the kuffar. They fight each other, and they are happy of their own agendas and opinion. It's not talking about the believers when they have differences of opinion. You cannot use this ayah. And someone who agree or disagree with the majority, he will tell you, وَإِن تُطِعْ أَكْثَرَ مَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ يُضِلُّكَ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. And if you obey the majority of those who live on earth, they will lead you away from Allah's path. But that's not true when it comes to the believer. Majority of the believer is something that has weight. And this is when you go to the fiqh, you will see fuqaha saying, قول الجمهور, we follow الجمهور. What are الجمهور? The majority of the fuqaha. You cannot use this ayah for your meaning. The same day, I remember one day someone told me we have a meeting, and it was next day, and I was insisting to have that things at that moment, and he told me, why you have to worry? He said, tomorrow inshallah, tomorrow we'll meet in the Fajr, and he told me the ayah, أَلَيْسَ الصُّبْحُ بِقَرِيبٍ, isn't the morning nearer? And I said, brother, this ayah is for Qawm Lut. You're using this ayah for Qawm Lut to meet you tomorrow. This ayah Allah revealed as a threat. And he told Lut alayhi, he told him, wait, al-Fajr is qareeb. The Subh is near, where Allah will send heavens and angels, and they will destroy all of them. And because we have a meaning, you tell me, alaysa al-Subh biqareeb. Has nothing to do with what I'm talking. I'm not looking for that Subh. Because it was a Subh of Qawm Lut. And people are using ayat this way. The most important is not using the ayat, it's the way you use the ayat. If you know the meaning, that's fine. If you don't know the meaning, don't play with the word of Allah. And don't play with ahadith and Nabi Asa, because what we are doing, in fact, I'm telling you what we are doing. Because of our own interpretation for the Quran. The way we think the Quran is saying, and it's not. The way we think Allah said, and it's not. The way we use the translation of the Kitab, and it's not. The way we maybe imagine, we are creating another understanding for the Quran. Another Sharia for the Quran. In fact, another halal and haram for the Quran. And this is why we have confusion. We have a lot between our culture and the Islam. We have a lot of confusion. My culture is telling me, I was grown up by seeing this and this. I heard all the people saying this. All 60 million are following this. We have confusion. We have a lot of issues. We cannot match what our cultures, our understanding for the deen, and what Allah really in fact revealed to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and what the Sahaba understood. We are creating another way, another manhaj, where, Al-Arab, they have their own way of understanding the Quran. And Asian, they have their way. And African, they have their way. And in fact, communities, they have different way of understanding. Why? Because we depend on our understanding to the Quran, and we don't go back to our Salaf Salih to understand the Quran. And we interpret the Quran the way we want. And of course, those people who has no relation to the Quran, now they study the Quran, know the Sharia, they become khutaba and a'imma, and maybe mufti, and the writers, and they publish books, and maybe they're not even Muslim. And they teach about the Quran and about Islam. So we create a contradiction that we don't know what to do now. Our children are confused. Ourselves, people are confused. I have to do this, or this is what the people told me, this is what I know for many, many years. And always I said, brother, this is culture. This is not the deen of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we create a lot of issues, and we change a lot of meaning. A lot of concepts have been changed. So we don't know today, it's rare to call or to hear about ukhuwatul Islam. Brothers, we are brothers because of Islam. It's Islam who made us work together, nothing else. But unfortunately, we have something as we call ukhuwatul masalah, it's benefits. We are here working with this because you have benefit and I have benefit. It's no more Ukhuwatul Islam. Things to replace a lot of concepts. People, instead of working for the sake of Allah and supporting the ulama and the knowledge and the da'wah, no, they are supporting political parties. Because when those people will get it, he will have a share of it. And they are using a lot of jam'iyat khayriyah, a lot of, charitable organization for that sake. It's no more how it was at the time of Sahaba or Salaf al-Salih. La ilaha illallah. It was a way of life. It's a way of life. Muhammadur Rasulullah. It's a way of life where you believe in what the meaning of La ilaha and you follow and Nabi Muhammad as a way of life, your style. Then it becomes just a word. Brothers say La ilaha illallah, and more you say it, more you go up in paradise. I'm so sorry. That's not the concept of the time of Rasulullah. The word of La ilaha. As-Sahaba, they give pledge for La ilaha illallah to do this and this and this and this, and it's written in the Sunnah. Why they pledge to Nabi? Because of La ilaha illallah. A lot of word in the writers, Al-Fath al-Islami, Islam open land, it becomes like evasion. And when others are invading the Muslim land, it's liberation. And a lot of Muslims are happy, they accept al-jinsiyya, citizenship. A lot of people believe in citizenship, more they believe in La ilaha illallah Muhammadun Rasulullah. They believe more in citizenship that Sykes-Picot made it. And those people, then he believes in La ilaha illallah Muhammadun Rasulullah. He sees you because he walks with you. He sits with you. He is because you are a citizen. If not, he does not consider your La ilaha illallah. Or the iman that Allah gave you. Or the follow of Nabi alayhi salam. It's because a lot of concepts have completely changed. Because the culture and our own understanding for Islam. And this is why a lot of people, they don't mind. If someone who is not Muslim will teach you Islam, and you never know, maybe one day Khatib from IUPUI, I'm a professor, George, so he will come and do khutbah here. You never know. We have, Azzakumullah, someone from Qawm Lut opening a masjid, and he called himself Abdullah al-Da'iyah. In Washington, D.C., they have a masjid. So things are changing, because the people understand Islam their own way. And there's a lot of people who are carrying off that bridge between us and Salaf al-Salih and the Sahaba and their understanding and our shuyukh and our ulama. There is no support for the shuyukh. There is no support. Shuyukh are in fact employees. Scholars are employees. And people will tell them what to do, what to say. If you want to say al-fatwa, I will tell you when and what. And you have to write down in your contract. And the things are changing and changing. And from bid'ah, so no one can touch the book of Allah, no doubt about it. It's protected from Allah. إِنَّا نَحْنُ نَزَّلْنَا الذِّكْرَ وَإِنَّا لَهُ لَحَافِظُونَ. But the meaning of Kitabullah, it's open. It's an open door. And a lot of people, a lot of communities, they understand their own way, and this is why it will not be just one deen, it will not be just one sharia, it will not be just, but for every group they have their own deen, and they have their own understanding, and their own halal and haram. And someone told me just recently, someone gave a speech and they told them the sharia of today is no more like the sharia of the time of the Prophet. Things change. A'udhu billah. Of course. There's no dawabit, there's no guideline. You do tafsir, you understand Quran, you have no usul al-fiqh, no usul al-hadith, no usul sunnah, no usul lugha, you know, no Arabic, no grammar, no, and it's open. Once the Islam has no guideline and has no usul and foundation, it's an open door and open policy. And inshallah, if I have time, inshallah, in the future, I will talk about the most important source for the Muslim, Kitabullah Ta'ala. How it was Kitabullah at the time of Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, and how is Kitabullah Ta'ala in our time, how we see the Quran, and how they saw the Quran, how we memorize the Quran, and the way they memorize the Quran. What was the Quran for them, and what is the Quran for us? And you see that we are really in huge deviation from the path of Allah. And the only thing that guide us and bring us back is the knowledge. And to know that as long as we have knowledge and we have ulama and we have scholars who fear Allah and we have people who protect the deen of Allah, we are in safety and security. Otherwise, it will be other adyan and other shara'i' and other halal and haram. أسأل الله تعالى أن يرحمنا ويغفر لنا ذنوبنا ويكفر عنا سيئاتنا ويتوفنا مع الصالحين. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر. الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه، والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. عباد الله اتقوا الله فيما أمر. Please move give space for your brother إن شاء الله. تفسحوا في المجالس يفسح الله لكم. Move my brother. عباد الله اتقوا الله فيما أمر وانتهوا عما نهاكم وحذر وزجر، وأخرجوا حب الدنيا من قلوبكم إنه إذا استولى أسر، واعلموا أن الله بدأكم بنفسه وثنى بملائكة قدسه، فقال عز من قائل إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم، وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد بر. وارض اللهم عن ساداتنا وموالينا أبي بكر وعمر وعثمان وعلي، وعن الصحابة أجمعين، وعن التابعين وتابعيهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. اللهم إنا نسألك موجبات رحمتك وعزائم مغفرتك والعصمة من كل ذنب والغنيمة من كل بر والسلامة من كل إثم. اللهم لا تدع لنا ذنبا إلا فرجته، اللهم لا تدع لنا ذنبا إلا غفرته، ولا هما إلا فرجته، ولا دينا يا رب إلا قضيته، ولا مريضا إلا عافيته وشفيته، ولا مبتلا إلا عافيته، ولا ضالا إلا هديته، ولا بعيدا إلا أدنيته إلى رحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين، ولا مشردا إلا آويته، ولا سجينا مظلوما إلا سرحته، ولا مهموما أو مكروبا إلا نفست عنه كربته. اللهم إنا نسألك العفو والعافية والمعافاة الدائمة في الدين والدنيا والآخرة. احينا يا رب مسلمين، وأمتنا يا رب مسلمين، واحشرنا يا رب مع الصالحين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا، وزدنا يا رب علما وعملا متقبلا. اللهم اغفر للمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات، إنك يا رب قريب مجيب للدعوات. اللهم اغفر لنا ولإخواننا الذين سبقونا بالإيمان، ولا تجعل في قلوبنا غلا للذين آمنوا. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. وقوموا إلى صلاتكم يرحمني الله وإياكم.